Alright, well, it's about time that we started working on the trike again. I actually stopped riding it because going 40 miles an hour on this is not the best. And also, these things, like, we have what's called goat heads here. If you don't know what those are, count yourself lucky, because they will make a tire go flat like that. But now we have a big tire. And so today's plan, we're going to put a big tire on this thing. It is a 19 by 8, I think. No, 19 by 7 with an 8-inch rim. We're going to build a gas tank for this thing because I have aluminum now. And I have a TIG welder. And I'm probably going to get frustrated as all you-know-what trying to weld this thing. It's my first TIG welding project ever, so it's probably going to leak. But I'm here to have fun and to learn, and hopefully you're here to do the same thing, or at least to be entertained. So let's get started on this. So now we have our two pieces clamped together, and they're lined up in the areas that are hardest to reach so that I don't have to try to get a grinder in here to make them even. We're going to do this, and then we're going to take a grinder and make them perfectly the same shape. So now we have a 3 3/4 inch strip here marked. This is going to be for this. It should hypothetically line up just fine. And then this piece will be for here. And then we'll have some left over for this area here. And then we'll cut another strip for the top. And now that we have all of our pieces here, we're going to take this guy, which is the longest guy, and we're going to drill a hole in the corner or in the back for a hose barb that I'm going to weld in eventually. And then for the top piece, we need to make an accommodation for a weld-in fuel filler neck, which I will get from Amazon pretty cheaply. So now what I'm going to do with the top plate is I'm going to drill a hole here in the center, as you see. And then I'll drill a hole, here. I will make various cuts out. And then I'll go to this hole and we'll make a vague circle. It doesn't have to be perfect because we will be welding in a filler neck. And now the reason why we are drilling the holes now and getting the fuel filler neck hole done now is because if I assemble the tank first, if I weld the tank together first, well, then I'm going to have to clean all the shavings out of the tank, and that's going to be nigh impossible. So we're going to do this now, and then we won't have to do it later. Everything will be nice and clean, and we'll be all set. If you had any question about what the heck I was talking about, I had to redraw the circle because the oil that I used to cut kind of wiped it off. But yeah, now we can do the circle. And then once we get our fuel filler neck in, we can weld it right on. Well, I'm starting to get my voice back, so we're going to work on this gas tank again today. This is the bottom of our tank, and that just sits right there, and we weld it on. Oh yeah, we're going to go with... That's why I was having trouble. Should not look like that. Alright, well, it's about time to test this thing. Yeah. It turned out okay looking, I guess. Let us fill this with water and test it. Alright, let's see if it leaks. And how much it holds. Oh yeah, I see a big old leak. So yeah, that didn't turn out great. It leaked a bit, but I got valuable information. I have marked the areas where it leaks the worst, and I get to fix them now. Oh, I also found out how much this thing holds. This holds right at 1 gallon of fuel. So pretty massive. Honestly, I think that's more than the stock tank holds. And we can't forget our lovely fuel bung. The welds are not perfect, but you know what? It doesn't leak at all. Now you may be thinking, Jess, those welds are not perfect at all. That does not look great. That doesn't look perfect. Yeah, no shit, it doesn't look perfect. This is the first thing that I've ever welded, like TIG welded anyway. A totally different animal than flux welding. The top bars here are a smaller diameter than the bottom ones, and I went and put this big old rod here in the way. So I'm gonna just end up like cutting this big rod off in a section, putting the gas tank in there, and then welding the rod back on there. Before I fill it with fuel, of course. But I'm not gonna bore you with that, I'll do that off camera. Oh boy. Oh, that's gonna be pleasant. So we ended up getting some 3/4 inch black pipe to use as like an axle shaft or axle holder. And of course I've cut little slots into my, I don't know what you'd call this, fork, fender, whatever. And that will just slide right on top and we can weld it up. Now we weld it. Alright, well here it is. It looks a little bit off and it looks like it won't match up, but once I clamp everything down like straight, then it'll line up perfectly. So all that's left to do now is straighten everything up and weld it. Alright, well the first one wasn't long enough, so we're going to do another one. This is a cam bearing tool installer that I lost the bushing part for, and wouldn't you know, it fits the axle perfectly. So I'm just going to drill 2 holes in here for which, it's windy, for which these little trailer hitch pins will go in. I'll get something more secure in the future, but that'll hold it for now. Excellent. That looks much better. The tire's on backwards, but that's easily fixed. This is also in the cards. It is a chain tensioner. Once I get a bolt for it, it'll be going up under here. The purpose of this is to keep the chain tight because it's quite loose and the chain does tend to fall off of the sprocket on the axle, and so this should prevent that because I can't really move the engine forward, I'll just add a tensioner. So here's our tensioner. I just, use some diamond plate, cut holes in it, and it works a treat. So now I'm just going to weld it to the frame rail right here. That should be good to go. Alright, well I think that'll do the job. Let's see. Oh yeah, that will do nicely. Alright, well that's about all I have time for today. As you can hear, the wind is getting pretty terrible. Next time we'll button up the throttle. I'll show you how I did the tank, because I'm going to figure that out off camera. And then we have a sidecar to build, so we'll build a sidecar. But otherwise, this feels much better than it did. And so I'm quite happy. Anyway, as usual, you be good while I'm gone. I'll see you next time. Have a good week.